My high sleep for the 8. Leo Coys and KTK. Lucas on the fly, causing turbulence. Causing waves on our way to the confluence. New voice for the fans. From the pitch to the stands. My high locos than the South Bank lads. Leo Coys and a homie crashed. Hold up, what's this? A raft on the water to the confluence. Yeah. It's chance, I'm bound up, rounds, I love the head to the wars. If it's this, you're off the C3A. This time is now. Locals on the jump to hold it down. Like the stream and do 5 stars. The mile high Hotspur and crash the car.
Yes, you filthy animals. Welcome back to the Confluence. My name is Leo Coys, the Mile High Hotspur, and I'm joined by my homie, certified Rapids sicko, the driver of the Daddy Shuttle, and the co-host of this here podcast, Crash. Do me a favor. Tell the homies what's up, man. How are you doing, Crash?
Oh, I'm doing great. It was a pretty amazing weekend. And it was full of soccer. I think I posted a couple times. You might have seen it throughout the weekend and even Friday. Football is life, which was a lot of fun. My daughter and I got to freeze our legs off at the women's national team match against Japan on Friday, which was a lot of fun. I know that she's been on, and you guys have probably heard her. She's a U11 aspiring soccer player, and national team is her target. So going to see those amazing women play in front of her has always been a treat for us. This is the first time it's not been in the summer, and we haven't been sweating. That's for sure. So we did that on Friday. Then, of course, we had all the snow on Friday. So all my games ended up getting canceled on Saturday, which made being able to get to the stadium at Mile High for the Inter Miami game much easier to a degree, I guess you could say. So because I didn't have to leave from the field, so we had a nice easy day there for the most part. And then Sunday, just more games. So we had one game for my daughter, and then it was just enjoying the nice weather. It's been really beautiful out here in Colorado for the past couple of days, and then again back on the pitch training today with all my girls. So it's football is life, man. I can't complain.
Yeah, my homie cannot complain, and nobody will listen if you did anyways, Crash.
That's right.
My homie, well, let me just start this episode off by saying it's a pleasure to be here this evening with you, Crash, and to all of the filthy animals that are tuning in. Big yourself up. We honestly appreciate all the love that we're getting here on the Confluence, and just all the people interacting with the social medias and downloading the streams and the pods, and it's highly appreciated. Crash, I'm going to start off by saying a massive big up to the Centennial 38, a massive big up to the Mile High Locos, a huge shout out to the Culeros crew, and all of the homies that took part in making that South Bank home away from home environment what it was. And before we dive into the game, I just wanted to pay some homage to them people, because honestly, a lot of work goes on behind the scenes when it comes time for a game day at the Richard, or in this case at Empowered Field. And it was just a massive, huge tailgate party, and the turnout was amazing. I'm lucky enough to have spent some time there, just cruising around, running into all the homies, and it was just a proper way to get the afternoon going, Crash. We were kind of talking about this behind the scenes, and I put it in the video. It was a proper, for some of us that were able to ride the train into the Mile High Stadium area, it was a proper English type football experience. Hop on the train, hop on the overground, whatever you want to call it, the light rail, and make your way to the ground. And then that walk from the train station to the ground was epic, homie. You see Inter Miami kits, Messi kits, Barcelona kits, and you saw the Burgundy Boy kits all around as well. It was a dope time, Crash. And the game lived up to the hype. Let's not forget about that. The game, which was the number one priority, we'll get into it, but it lived up to the hype. Trash. Before we get into the game, homie, what were your expectations leading up to the day and the event? I'm just going to call it the event. What were your expectations for it, homie? And by the end of the night, not talking results, just in event terms, did it live up to the expectations that you had?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I was I had high expectations. I mean, I think, I was there for the opening match for the Denver Summit for the NWSL, and they did a proper, opening, weekend for them, and or for opening home match for the inaugural home match. And so there was a lot of expectations that I had kind of between the two. And so I was like, how they went about it, the fanfare, the opening, this, the videos, all of the little elements that go into creating a really amazing game day experience. I was able to experience a bit of it. Obviously, I had come from training or from a game right before that, and so I was able to catch a little bit on the way in. And so it was nice. It was a good, but there wasn't a whole lot of foundation. I didn't have a lot of expectation. Just because I didn't know what they planned on doing. It's obviously different than the Rapids, but so for me, I was hoping to see the Rapids live up to their side of the bargain, right? To match the experience. When I walked in, when I get there, am I going to feel like it's the Rapids, or am I feel like it's the Rapids playing in Bronco Stadium, right? And I thought they did a really good job, honestly. I got there, and anybody who tried to get there, I had got a past the park nearby, just because I had expected to literally leave straight from a field and go to the stadium. Otherwise, I would have done exactly what you did. My seatmates, they have family that lives down there. They went down, drove down, parked, hopped on the light rail, and went straight there. And I would have loved to be able to do that. But it just, we had the pass, and it wasn't worth, throwing that a waste. So we got down there, but I kind of wish I had. Man, trying to get into my Empire Field is way different than trying to get in the Dicks. It's they close the roads, they close directions. You can't go this way. So, and then you've got to deal with everybody trying to get in there who's, not used to it. So it was a much more stressful experience getting there, just because you knew the hype. You didn't want to miss a moment. I wanted, make sure the family got an opportunity to see it and be a part of it, and those kinds of elements. So we got there. Luckily, we were able to get there with plenty of time. Got into the match, and when I got there, it was great. I mean, outside of the fact that I saw, tens of thousands of Messi kits everywhere. Which was expected. I mean, we talked about it last episode. Figured there'd be about 15,000, 20,000 Rapids kits, and the rest would be, would be Messi of some version. Which I don't knock anybody who did, right? Most of those people there want to see the greatest player that of our generation, which I don't disrespect at all. And I get that. But the other side of it, I showed up. It was a Rapid stadium when we were inside. They did everything. They branded everything. They did a really good job making it look and feel like the Rapids play there every day. And I thought that was pretty cool. And, I think we go to some stadiums like Lumen Field in Seattle. That also is an NFL stadium, and they do the same thing. I think so. They did a proper conversion over to make it look and feel like that's an everyday occurrence. The stadium it's definitely not a football stadium. It's definitely not a or a soccer stadium, I guess I should say, not to get confused with our Broncos partners there. But, so the view, the way that it was, like the seating, it made it challenging from a fan's perspective to really watch the game. that was my only critique of like the experience of it. It was just different, right? The rake, the slope, all those elements. But the biggest thing that I thought was really good and beneficial outside of the way that they did the opening, the way that they did all of the things that made it fun and exciting, was the fact that C38, Mile High Locos, everybody in the supporter section, all of you were nonstop from the moment you guys showed up to the moment the game was over. There was drums, there was chants, there was, noise coming from that section, the entirety of it. And I was so proud to be right off the corner watching you guys go about it. So I was more proud the fact that our supporters made it feel like it wasn't just a Messi game, it was a Rapids game. And which was really cool to see and hear all of you guys throughout the whole game.
Yeah. Well, Crash, I would take that and say I appreciate it, homie, because being in there, we did try to do our best, and I feel like we kind of, and I'm just gonna say I'm gonna probably speak for the South Bank. We kind of felt like we were going to be outnumbered, I would assume, you know what I mean? So we were all just that much more pumped up, and we just added more to our voices that game, and the claps were louder. Bro, I know I was jumping up and down and just stomping my feet extra harder, and like just giving it to the Inter fans, homie. And it was such a dope experience. Because to kind of like come full circle on the question that I asked you about the expectations, you're right. I think we all kind of had high expectations, but nobody really knew exactly what to expect. And it was a bit weird, homie, walking into that section there, and just it was a makeshift. They did their best to kind of give us a makeshift South Bank, and big props to them, because we did have a huge section, and it was packed. I do like the fact that they were pretty adamant about no other colors in that section. I know in the South Bank at Dick's, they do recommend, and it is, kind of like the rule that they don't allow colors, but you see tons of different jerseys in and throughout the South Bank, and fair play, that's okay, you know what I mean? But on this game, they really didn't want none of that, and they were on it. So I really enjoyed that part, because in an environment where it was so diluted, and we could probably say Rapids fans were anywhere from 10 to 15% of the, or maybe we could go maybe 17% of the whole population there. We wanted to probably feel as united as we could there in the South Bank. So it was fun, bro. It was a dope environment. 75,824 in attendance, which makes that the second biggest crowd in the MLS history. On a day that was the Rapids' 30th anniversary match, Messi was in Denver. And that's why I said it kind of turned out to be much more of an event and not just a game. Crash, let's get into this game, my homie. Let's start getting into the nitty-gritty of this game.
Before we jump in, I do want to say, and I tweeted this out during the game. We complain about Dick's Sporting Goods Park. We complain that it's old. They need to be updated. That's all extremely valid, and it all is true. There needs to be massive updates to make that a much more enjoyable experience. But walking in and out of Empower Field, the parking, all those elements, I missed the Dick. I did. I missed it. I missed the atmosphere, the intimacy, the connection. I missed the fact that when you're there, you're surrounded by supporters and fans, that are there for the Rapids. It was a great experience to be there with 75,000, 76,000-ish people. And there were a lot of Rapids fans there. I'm not going to lie about that, but it just felt different. And so for me, I just missed that home feel. And I'll be excited to get back into the Richard, the next one. But I just wanted to say that, that it was a different experience that I wasn't so keen on, I guess you could say, just because I felt like I was a minority at a whole match and with, kind of not surrounded by my people. So I'm excited to see you all back in the South Bank at the Dick for, I think, the next Open Cup game here coming up soon.
Yeah. No, perfect shout, my homie. That's a great shout. But and just real quick too, before this wasn't just a match, my homie. There was plenty of things on social media just kind of emphasizing the fact that, this was a statement moment for soccer here in the Centennial State. And to cap off, with the summit a few weeks ago or the month ago, you know what I mean? It's just only showing that we're gonna show up if it's a soccer match. You know what I mean? We are definitely a soccer city, a soccer state. So yeah, let's go, my homies. It was the Colorado Rapids against the Miami Globetrotters circus, if you will. What comes with it, my homie? And the game got underway. And am I wrong in saying the Rapids started the game how they wanted to? They were going to emphasize their game off the early bat, and we ended up. It was like the 15th minute where we ended up conceding. We ended up getting called for the penalty. At first, it was, let me just bring it back. Zach Steffen plays the ball out real fast to Josh Atencio. And I think Josh Atencio just puts a heavy touch on it and it gets away from him. The Inter Miami player is right there. Atencio collides with him, puts his foot through him, and it wasn't called a penalty right away. The play did go on, and then you get the blown whistle, and it turns out the ref got told, go check it out. Crash at that point when the ref heads to the monitor. You already know it's more evidence for the turnover than it is, to kind of confirm the decision. So what happens, my homies? He goes to the monitor and it gets overturned. It is, in fact, a penalty. Atencio gets shown the yellow card, and everybody's cell phones, mine included, come out to record the GOAT take the penalty. And he slots it home. Calm, collected, and cool. He puts it in the back of the net, and Empowered Field went crazy. It lit up, it went crazy for the goal. Rapids fans were a bit upset. I was a bit peeved about it. But right away, we had a chance. I think it was Paxton Aronson.
Yeah, it was.
Played a fabulous ball through. Does a good effort, my homie, but unfortunately, it just went a bit wide. And that was our first big chance, if you will, against the Miami team. And we let them know that we weren't going to back down from them. We weren't going to let the Messi aura reign precedence there at the stadium. And I want to say throughout the first half, Crash, we did a good account of ourselves. And it wasn't up until late in the first half where the ball for Inter Miami is out wide. And they play in a cross, and there's two Rapids players right there. I want to say it was Kosi Thompson and Rob Holding, and the Inter Miami player just does better out of the three, puts it in the back of the net. And you could just see Zach Steffen was frustrated because that he kind of just like went right in front of him, and we concede another goal late going into halftime. Crash, the first half, my homie, how was it from your point of view? And what was your takeaway from the first half?
Yeah. Well, I mean, first off, I don't think we actually got off to the start we wanted to, because what was the deal with Inter Miami not coming out for anything? Like, they were late to coming out for warm-ups. They were late to come out for the opening ceremonies. They delayed that. If you guys noticed, there was supposed to be a flyover, and they're really good about timing those perfectly, right? When the fourth or when the Star Spangled Banner ends, well, it was delayed. Why? Because he had to circle back around and then come over when he was done, right? So I don't know what this Inter Miami delay the game situation. We'll get into the second half. They were delayed coming out for the second half, right? Like I don't know, and I don't know if that was just them trying to throw us off or what it was, but there I don't know what the ref can do about that situation, but there needs to be something about, if they're not out there, start the game. And I don't know what it is. But I was a little frustrated about that. It seemed like they were trying to kind of get us kerfuffled or kind of to overthink things or, whatever it was. But when they came out, I did think the Rapids started well. I thought they started the match. We talked about it, in our last episode, what is the team going to do? And they played their game. And, I really think that they lived up to the moment. I think that first Messi goal, was it a foul? Yes. When you go back, you look at VAR, it was definitely a foul. But I also think it was a very soft, questionable foul. And if there wasn't VAR, it plays on and they move on. So I think the Inter Miami Messi effect when it comes to penalties, that's going to go their way every time. And that's just what it is. The fans wanted to see Messi score a goal and they got it in the 15th. Granted, it was a very easy goal. He just waited for Stefan to decide a direction. And I think he probably just mentally saw him kind of lean to one side and started momentum taking him that way. And he just tapped it home on the other side. Right. And that's what Messi does, right? He doesn't need to do more than he needs to. He just has an instinct or sees something and acts. And so they're up 1-0. I was in section 126. So I was just on the sideline right there on that goal. So I was the same thing, Messi's the GOAT, right? I want to see this. I recorded the same thing and got a video of it. And granted, it was a pretty soft little penalty he scored, so nothing I'm going to be excited to see again. But I got to see Messi score, so that was kind of cool. But it was tough to take, and it was a little frustrating at the moment to see them, go up first. And then it was good to see the Rapids respond. Like you said, Aronson got an opportunity. Manungu got an opportunity. Like they were really pushing, and there wasn't a lot that Miami could really do. It was Miami pressing I thought was interesting. I never expected to see Messi actually press, which was a unique thing for them. But I think besides that, we did pretty well breaking through their press, and we did really well finding those passes forward and breaking the lines. I was actually impressed. We played, there was a couple moments, I think, just like there is anytime you're playing out of the back that, you take a heavy touch, and we saw the penalty come from that. So I think we need to be more clinical. We need to really work on that concentration and playing smart, solid football in those moments. But I thought we did really well. We took it to them. We played our game. We were aggressive. We were going after them. Miami are like soft, little twigs, and they're going to fall down at any time you breathe on them. And you saw that throughout the first half. Although I wasn't a big fan of the ref, I thought he did pretty well with managing that in letting the game play the way it needed to play. So, I think first half, at the end of the day, that second goal, it was a mistake by Stefan and the back line. It was Rob Holding and Zach not on the same page. And, for me, what I saw in that moment was Zach I saw the cross come up or the opportunity there, and I said, Zach's going to come up and take it. He just comes out and punches it. It's gone. The half's over. And he didn't. He waited. And then, Rob was expecting the same thing. And then, Bertarami was right there just to head it home. And if you're not on the same page, that's something that has to happen now. And I don't know why. I don't know what it was. I'm sure they're going to, talk about it at some point between them to make sure that they call it. But, that's the goalkeeper's job to say, you got it, I got it. Talk. And I think that's the key of it. So I was a little frustrated because that was an extremely soft goal that we shouldn't have given up. And that really changes, the outcome of the game at the end of the day. They really didn't have any opportunity. You look at all the stats on the is in the first half, dominated shots, opportunities, all of it. We had possession like crazy. So we played our game much better than Miami played their game.
No, and that's facts, bro. And I want to touch a little bit on the second Miami goal. You're right, bro. It's unfortunate, but Zach Steffen did look like watching the replay back. He did look like he was going to attack the ball, and then for some reason he just pulled out of it. And at that point, you let the Miami guy get his head on it and send it at the net. And you're just he was late to react to even push it because he just was already in a different motion,
Right.
falling backwards. So yeah, it was that right there probably was our biggest defensive lapse throughout the first half because we played our game. It wasn't even like we had to do much defensively. If I can remember correctly, I mean, we imposed our game and our game plan, and it looked like, besides the fact that we didn't get the goal, right? We had opportunities. We were just not clinical in front of the goal. I don't know if it was the first half or the second half when Wayne Frederick tried chipping St. Clair from about the half. Yeah, that was the first half. So, we had a couple of chances. Granted, that's not a high XG shot, but he had a wide open opportunity to shoot. And just think about it. And even the Paxton goal that went wide. And off the top of my head, I can't really remember too many, but we did have our opportunities and we just.
Absolutely. I mean, if you look at the momentum chart for the first half, I mean, it was dominated by the Rapids. I mean, with massive peaks and opportunities, it was only the last 3 minutes of the half that Miami was even part of it. And that's a mentality thing, or that's them trying to push, push into the half, I guess. And that's something that we need to get better at because there's no reason why we should have had the momentum for the entirety of the first half and then given up the last 3 minutes and then give them a goal. And I think that's the key of it. That's a mental lapse. I'm seeing the finish and getting stressed to like, let's get to the finish line. And then, and then they're lapsing on it. So, it's a big factor there. And I think it's something that we have to be cognizant of. But I mean, it was our ball. We had the momentum in that whole half and, props to Miami for limiting what they could. But at the end of the day, it was us not finishing our chances that really was the big factor because Miami didn't really stop us. It was us stopping ourselves, to be honest.
We were our own worst enemy there on the day at the first half. And something that I want to point out, and it's kind of been a theme. Granted, we have had some games where we've scored 4 goals, numerous games, right? And then the 6-goal game. But this game definitely continues to tell the story, of the Rapids season. A little bit of control without that killer instinct, Crash, right? A little bit of sometimes we just lack that killer instinct, and that can only get better if we continue to get these opportunities and these chances. But moving to the second half, Crash, this is when the Rapids showed heart, my homie. Not just fight, but they showed heart. And so let's just talk a little bit about it. In the 58th minute is when the Rapids eventually get their first goal. Rafa Navarro gets the ball almost midfield, Crash, goes on a nice run, has a couple of options, but decides to go past the defender and just slots it in the back of the net. And the South Bank explodes, my homie. We needed that goal. It had been coming the whole game leading up to that point. And who else but Hoffa making it happen, my homie? Literally grabbing the game by the scruff of the neck, like they say, putting his team on his shoulders and getting that goal for the Burgundy boys. In the 58th minute, I don't know what happened after that. Matt Wells must have said, you know what, guys, let's go get another one. Let's go. I have to big up Matt Wells's just game management and team management at that point, because he looks right at his bench, knows exactly where he needs to go, brings on the homegrown Darren Yapi. Crash, on last week's pod, I said, in a day where everything went so well for the Rapids, the only thing that would have been that cherry on top was a goal by Darren Yapi. And this time, my homie comes on few touches before he even puts the goal, he even puts the ball in the back of the net. And in the video that I posted, Crash, we're still all jigging, we're still all dancing, we're still shuffling, we're still going crazy in the South Bank, and we just happened to get another goal go in. And if you thought that Hoffa goal sent us into ecstasy, man, that second goal, that one from Darren Yapi, just blew the lid off the place, my homie. Beer was going everywhere. Water, Sprites, Skittles, whatever you had was flying, my homie. And that is what you love to see. That is what it's all about. And what I really want to make it known is we needed that goal. We fought for that goal. We fought to be in that position to come back from 2-0 down. And the whole place, bro, I'm even willing to go out on a limb. There was those Rapids fans with the Messi kits and all that. They were throwing their Skittles in the air as well, my homie. You know what I mean? Because that's just how much of an impact Darren Yapi made as soon as he came on. And at that point, my homie, it was an instant impact off of the bench. The game flips to 2-2. And that 5-minute stretch, that's the identity that we've been waiting for, Crash. That energy, that pressing, that direct attacking, and I'm even going to have to eat my words, that killer instinct moment, Crash. Tell me, my homie, how was that 5-minute spell? And it's unfair to say that 5-minute spell because, like you said, leading up to that whole point, the Rapids were just on it. But for that 5-minute stretch, my homie, what were the vibes down in that section? What were the vibes over there with the Crash family, homie?
Oh man, it was electric. And I think, we'll start with Hoffa's goal. Man, he's so good. Like, he's like I really think he is so perfect for Matt's system that I know we're talking about, what happens, what's next, is he gonna get sold off at some point, how long are we gonna keep him? I hope Hoffa stays forever. Like, I know, like he is the most hardworking. He's one of the best strikers in the MLS. You look at all the metrics, he's up in the top 5. He just is a perfect fit for Matt Wells' system. So I hope he sticks around. I hope it seems like he really enjoys it here. I think he's finding a home and likely wants to stay, but who knows? We'll see what happens in the future. But that's my shout. Hoffa, stay. I want you to be here for a while. Even my wife wanted to wear a jersey, so I let her wear my Hoffa kit to match my daughter's Headwaters kit as well. So they were in Headwaters. My son and I were both in Burgundy, so anyway, but he's just so good in that moment. Like he found that he was able to get the ball in space, and he just kept driving forward. And the back line of Miami was kind of, wasn't putting pressure on him, so he was going to take his space, and he just kept going forward and forward. And at first I was thinking, oh, this is where he passes it off, right? This is where we get in there. He finds the pass, gets it out wide, and then, we go from there. But he didn't. And this is what I want to see more from Hoffa. I want to see more of this 1v1 going after it. These guys are good. They are solid players. Georgie, one of the best 1v1 dribblers in the league. Hoffa is one of the best strikers in the league when it comes to control and ability on the ball. Like, he does some amazing things. And so he just puts it on his left foot, kind of feints like he's going to take that shot on his left foot, and the defender from Inter Miami bites, and he just pops it over to his right and slots it home. And that's what you want. Just ate him up and just put it straight in the back of the net, which is what you want from your striker. I want to see Hoffa do that every time. Like, I know he passes it off, and I think he's probably got a little bit of that old Armis voice in his head of upgrading the shot or whatever it is. But I know Matt wants him to go on. He wants to take people on, and that's the aggressive dog that he wants to go on after these goals in attack. So I was really so happy to see it. And then Yapi subs on in the 61st minute. He scores in the 62nd. And it's not an accident why. Matt Wells knew exactly what he needed him to do. He saw the game, he saw how they were playing, and he knew exactly what was going to happen, which is why you saw him celebrating so much on the sidelines when that happened. And it was, they baited him. And the reason why that happened is because Hoffa is so hard to defend that they were playing him in a way that they couldn't control what was happening around them. So Yapi found that channel. Lucas Harrington, proper dime, straight to Yapi's foot. And Yapi goes, you know what? I'm taking this one. And slots it right through the 5-hole. And Dane St. Clair is just looking at it as it goes through his legs, right? And so that was just, the entirety of the stadium erupted. And I think that was probably the coolest thing is, yes, there was a bunch of Messi fans there, but I think there was a lot of Colorado fans there. And I think that was the key is that inspired the fans to look around. And if you go back and for those who haven't seen it yet, Leo did another amazing match day vlog that you can find on the Mile High Hotspur channel. I think it should be also on the Confluence channel now as well. Take a look at that. It's a great way to look and see how it feels. But if you watch that goal and you kind of, as you see around the panning of the stadium, you see scarves from every fan all over the stadium spinning around and jumping in excitement. So there was a lot more than, the 15,000-ish, supporters of the Rapids that would be there at a game at Dick's. There was probably around 70,000 people there that were actually supporting and excited to see the Rapids, make it a game. And I think that was what it is. And for me, that's what I wanted. I wanted to see a showing. I wanted to see a fight. I wanted to see that, not a blowout. And the Rapids lived up to it. And it was electric. At that point, it was awesome. 75,000 people excited for a game. You can't, knock any of that kind of experience at all. My son had ripped his shirt off. He was swimming around like everybody, like nobody was throwing booze around. Which makes sense, but we were on our seats. We were jumping. Shirts, clothes were coming off and stripping off and swinging around. I've got a good picture of my son at that point doing it. So end of the day, electric environment after that moment.
Yeah, bro, like we said, even before the pod, regardless of how the game ended, the Rapids fought, my homie. And at that point, that's really the best thing for your team is just to show heart and fight and to try and to leave it all on the pitch, like they say, right? The Rapids left it all on the pitch that day. The thing that I'm seeing here is, we outplayed Miami for large stretches of that match, right? We obviously had the majority of the possession. I think it was like 62, 61%, 14 shots. However, Miami were just clinical with theirs. The Rapids were the better team. Miami, unfortunately, just had the better player, my homie. And this all came about, in what minute was it that Messi comes on? Messi scored that goal. The 79th. So 79th. In the 79th minute, and let me just retrace my steps. Messi starts the game walking around, right? Walks, takes a while to even get into it. I don't think I seen Messi do more than freaking 5 sprints the whole game. I don't think I seen any bits of Messi flair besides the penalty. Don't get me wrong. I didn't see a team that was afraid of the Leo Messi factor. We talked about that on the pod, was how would these players kind of react to being playing against the GOAT. And you see players locking in like Paxton Aronson. Jackson Travis, big yourself up, my homie, locking in with the GOAT. You know what I mean? All of these players, Rob Holding, just giving it to Messi as well. Messi didn't look like he controlled any part of the game until that tiny little spell there in the 79th, where he got that ball on the left-hand side and did what Messi does, my homies. He needed 2-3 touches to put that ball in the back of the net with such precision that only he can do. And that's the killer instinct. That right there was the killer moment. The 79th minute was the winner. And it came from a turnover in midfield as well, Crash. So you don't make mistakes like that against Messi, because if you do, the unfortunate part about it, Crash, is you're going to have to pay for it. Messi, look, I can't believe I'm going to say this, but Messi blessed us with the fucking peach of a goal. You know what I mean? And if you're going to go down, you're going to go down to a goal like that on the day. Crash, how was it from your end, on your point of view, homie? And just when Messi picked up that ball, because am I wrong to say that he really wasn't that big of an influence on the game, besides having 2 goals, and that little spell where he did the Messi thing?
Yeah, no, and I agree. I think, we kind of talked about last episode, right? Where, it's like, how are they going to handle him? What are they going to do? And they showed him the respect that he should be shown, but they didn't give him any more. And they played him just like he was any other player. And there was a couple moments there where you kind of look and you're like, whether, there's a heavy touch, like the penalty kick, right? Or the, outside of the box, a turnover or something that happens in our defensive half, right? You get nervous, right? There's some really solid players up front of there that can take advantage of any situation. And they limited that from the most part, but there was a couple turnovers there that you saw and you're like, oh no, this is it. And we were able to handle it for the majority of the game. And so I thought, we did pretty amazing, given, what we had kind of had seen in the past. And I think, Wells, it's, a tribute to him and how he's going about the game and preparing these guys, and how, they're lined up and they have the confidence to play, to that level, which is really cool. But like you look at the match stats, almost every metric outside of a few, like I'm just looking here at FOTMob and, but like expected goals, total shots, shots on target, big chances, accurate passes, fouls committed, we had less. Corners, we had more. It's actually there's only 5 total corners in the whole game, which I thought was interesting. Expected goals, we hit every single metric except for expected goals on target. And, our shots, we had more shots, shots on target, off target, inside the box, outside the box, passes, almost every metric. Like you just go through the duels like all of these metrics, we're dominating all of them, which I thought was pretty amazing. And it just goes to show that dominating football that Matt Wells wants to play, well, we're playing it. And the only reason why we lost that game, outside of a couple mistakes, which, you can look at the first 2 goals, were mistakes. And that's
huge.
And it happens all the time. You make a mistake against a good team, you're going to get scored on. It's just how it works. And then this 3rd goal, I can't say it was a mistake, but we gave Messi time. And it wasn't even a little bit of time. Anybody else is not likely going to make that goal. That's a goal Messi makes because he's the greatest player on earth right now. Right. And so it was unfortunate and kind of sad. I was like, dang it. I thought we actually could go all the way. And I didn't give up hope that we couldn't get back an equalizer after that. Then also the other side of it, it's hard to be upset when you see the GOAT score a goal like that. And it's like, it was like, I'm torn as a supporter and then as a soccer fan and just the world sense. It's like, right. I wanted to see the PIDs come out, but if you're going to lose, I mean, that's the game. That's the goal you lose on, and I'm okay with it. Right. But I love the fact that we didn't give up. we kept fighting, we kept pushing, and we really pushed all the way till the final whistle, which I thought was even better. But we had a couple really good opportunities there at the end. They just couldn't find the net to find that equalizer.
Yeah. No, and I agree, my homie. I wanted to kind of highlight these two players. I know we kind of talked a little bit about them before, but before we move any further, I just wanted to say, Hoffa, 10 goal contributions in the last 6 games. Right? That's key. That's our DP finally delivering. You know what I mean? Our player in that DP spot finally delivering and carrying the attack. He's literally carrying the attack, my homies. I compare him to Harry Kane on every episode, and this game again showed massive similarities as well, my homies. Darren Yapi, the impact of Darren Yapi, the immediate goal off of the bench, the energy shift. A question for the viewer, a question for the listener. Is Yappy forcing his way into a starting role somehow? If he's going to be contributing like this, or is he going to be Matt Wells' special system, a special just player, or that ace up his sleeve, or is he going to eventually force his way into a starting role? Hoffa and Yappy can, I think they could definitely complement each other very well. We had Jose from the official voice of the Rapids in Spanish on here. He said, why can't we have our own version of a Harry Kane and Heung-min Son in Hoffa and Darren Yappy? I'll take those comparisons all day, my homies.
Absolutely. Well, good shout there. Just to look at it, Hoffa is second in goal contributions in the league with 9. I think there's a couple over there that he's sharing that with. Peter Musa is the only one above him with 10. So he's at the top of the league when it comes to goal contributions, goals and assists. And then you go down the list. Guess who's in the top of that list? Who's tied with 5? Darren Yapi. So he's in the mix with. He has more goal contributions than Thomas Mueller does. He's right there with Christian Espinoza and Javier Goza and Logan Farrington, Marco Royce, Albert Rusnak, Joao Klaus, and Hani Mukhtar. These are all names that we've known forever. Denny Buwanga has 5, right? Yeah. And Heung-min Son has 6. So he's in an elite club right now, even being behind, Hoffa. So that's going to be a hard person to argue with not having on the pitch. And so I think you look at that and you just look at the production, the ability to step up and play these big games. I think it's amazing to see both Hoffa and Yappy really finding some amazing footing. And I think the really thing that we've always been concerned with in the past is we don't have anybody that's changing games on the bench. We don't, right? Yeah. I never had that in the past. It's like, oh, we're going to our bench. Well, a white flag, we're waving it because we don't got anybody that change it, right? Now we do. I mean, we've got, Dante Seeley that could be a bench. We've got Georgie Manungu, who can come off the bench and completely change a game. We've got Darren Yappy that can come off the bench and change a game, right? We've got some really talented attackers that we can shift and change and rotate, and all of them could be starters or all of them come off the bench. But you know what they're going to do is they're going to change the game. And I think Matt has a really good way to adjust and change and bring in the right people at the right times. And so it's kind of exciting to see that we finally have the depth to play a game. And even if we're behind, we can adjust to shift to really, make it an exciting, final, 40 minutes or whatever, or 20 minutes it is, depending on the situation. So it's not what we're used to, which is great. Warm, refreshing, and exciting.
Yeah. No, I agree, my homie. And I hope it may continue for long. Long may it last, my homie, that connection there. What about let's kind of shift it a bit to Matt Wells, right? Because Matt Wells obviously is given a great account of himself as well so far. And, we kind of touch on this, regularly on the pod. The identity it's more clearer and clearer by the game, Crash, under Matt Wells, right? We're gonna build from the back. We're gonna be a aggressive midfield progression team. And we're gonna have confidence against these top teams. Now, not to get too far ahead, but we're coming up against some two powerful teams here on these next two games. So we're going to see more example. Hopefully, we see more examples of that. Um, but just how freaking great has Matt Wells been, Crash? From your point of view, I mean, you're a coach, right? Just and I ask people this and for the interviews, like just you know the difference between the teams from last year or years past to the identity that we have because we're not gonna back down. It doesn't matter if Messi is bringing his his crew. You know what I mean? Um, the Rapids are still going to just implement their game. And a lot of that is because Matt Wells is drilling that into them.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think, when it comes to Matt, I'm excited. I think the identity, the foundation that he's built is exactly what this team's needed for a long time. I think his system and what he's wanting from his team, the foundation is simple and to understand. I think then there's a next level that we're starting to get into with how he wants to play the game, more tactically. That is starting to come to fruition. And I think if the team has the ability to really mesh and gel with that, we could be a really tough team to beat. And, I think like you mentioned, we have two more games against two of the best teams in the league, if not the two best teams in the league. And so it's going to be a real test of our identity and our, ability to navigate those challenges. I mean, they're away games too, so that's even more challenging. We have an Open Cup thrown in the middle of those as well, so it's going to be fixture congestion. There's going to be a lot of things that are going to be happening, but at the end of the day, I think his approach, his tactical mind, I think he's mentioned it before. That's his superpower, is to be able to see the game and make these calls. And I think the Yapi goal was exactly that. Like he could see it and understand it. So I applaud him for that confidence and that visibility and that to understand that. And so it'd be interesting to see how it navigates. I really love him as a coach, and I hope that he's able to find success. I really hope that they're able to keep finding these top players to bring in that he can utilize for the team to make it even stronger, because that's going to be the key, is not depleting the team by selling off Lucas Harrington or selling off a Navajo and not having somebody that is capable of filling those holes immediately. Because I don't think this team is going to be successful if we see those kinds of changes happening. Although I don't expect that necessarily to happen as quickly or as shocking as it maybe has happened in past years. Because I think that these young players are really learning a lot from Matt, and I think that that confidence, that dynamic nature of how he coaches is probably a little addicting, because they're seeing their own progress and development happen in real time. The real question is if that stalls, or if results stall and it becomes challenging, what is their identity when it's hard? Do the players still stick with the gaffer when things aren't going necessarily the way we'd want them? What is our identity in those hard moments? That's going to be a real question. And we haven't gotten there yet. It's been pretty up and down. We've been, challenging game and reacted, or challenging game and reacted and came back, and we've seen positive. There hasn't been the full consistency that we would love to see. But when it gets hard, when it gets tough, when we get down, are we able to get ourselves out of it? That'll be really the biggest test, I think, for Matt and this identity of the team coming to fruition. Here's hoping it never happens and we're just riding cloud nine all the way to the MLS Cup. But there's going to be some tough times. It just happens. Every team runs through that in a season, and we might have a run of 4 games that are tough and challenging. And this is this might happen now, right? We might have a really challenging couple weeks, and how do we react and respond to that? It's going to be key.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess we could just wrap up talking about the game. We've been going almost for an hour and just loving the conversation about the game. Honestly, we could probably go for another one talking about it. Um, but Crash, the big takeaways, my homies, and I guess again we say this on the pod. The Rapids are just looking legit, right? We're competing with one of the MLS bests. Not parking the bus and actually dictating play. But also we're not there yet, right? These elite teams will punish your mistakes. And the Rapids are still learning how to win, and we're still learning how to win these games. And I guess the third takeaway being this is a statement loss, if ever there was any, right? This is the kind of loss that tells you more than a win about your team, right? We saw the identity, we saw the fight, we saw the quality moments, right? But we're almost there. There was obviously the gap still. There's still the things we have to iron out. So, look, I think we're only going to become a more well-oiled machine, a better team. The more and more these players play more games with each other, and just build a more cohesive way about playing together. The future looks bright, definitely. And so, Trash, I know I ask you every match review that we do, the negatives, homie. Go ahead and just pull out the negatives real quick. I know we kind of touched on it being, the defensive lapses, but is there anything else from your point of view that could be, just a negative that we still need to focus on?
Yeah, I think so. I think um, there are at times I see a bit of laziness or overconfidence, I guess you could say, more than maybe laziness. It's more of like, oh, this is easy, I got this, and then you don't, or it could be an even overthinking. I think I'd mentioned this about Nico, and I forget when it was when we were talking about it, but the difference between Zach Steffen and Nico is Nico just reacts, right? Like in any moment, he's just reacting to a save, reacting to this. He's not overthinking the process. And I think that's where Zach gets into his own head sometimes, right? And he's not just reacting. I think that goal going into the second half was a prime example of it, right? He should have reacted and straightened out and punched it away, and a half's over, right? And I don't know what is going through his head. He was seeing something, but how many different things was he trying to compute at one point instead of just saying, "Go get the ball and knock it out, done." And I think that happens not just to him to pick on him, but I think that also happens throughout the game sometimes. And whether it's like what pass is it, or what am I trying to do? What am I trying to force to happen? There's sometimes it's overthinking a little, too much, instead of just reacting and kind of flowing naturally, which I think will keep coming with time. The more they play, the more natural it becomes. And I think you started seeing it in this game. But that's still, something that they have to mesh and they have to get in there. I think Georgie and Kosi on the team are prime examples. They both got 90 minutes out there, which I think they did really well. For only playing with the team for a couple of games in not full minutes across the board, which I thought that, the more time they can gel and practice with the team and get ingrained, the quicker they're going to get into that moment. So, and then the other side of it is, we don't have, Hoffa is a good finisher. Like he's able to, get there. I think Yapi's scoring goals, but we don't have that. I guess Dante's probably our closest to scoring those really nice bangers from outside of the box kind of finisher. Yeah. He hasn't, I know he's got the one goal in the Open Cup, but he hasn't quite gotten there, on the score sheet in MLS play. And we really need somebody that is that Messi kind of person, or that Son kind of person that can change a game in a moment with that quality of a shot. Not to say that none of the team are capable of doing it. I think they're all capable of doing it. It's harder, right? And we don't have that clinical, punishment, when we finish, like we should. So there's a couple things there, I think, as negatives. But I think, we're making up with them, for them as best we can. It's just, I think, it's tough. I think we're just, we need to get into a rhythm and a confidence of this is how we play, playing smart. We're not overcomplicating it. And I think once we get there, I think this style of play really lends itself to that. But it's it takes time for them to really lock that in mentally, because they all, it's the biggest challenge half the time is the mental battle.
Yeah, absolutely, my homie. I wanted to I was trying to send this picture here to put it on. Let me pull it up here for you. I don't know if you can
Yeah.
I don't know if that's picking it up.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
I got it.
that's when Matt Wells met the Mile High Hotspur right there, Crash.
Nice.
I don't know if you see that.
I love it. Yeah, I saw it.
Yeah, and if you're a handshake there, I got to meet the gaffer after the game. I was pretty excited about that, and I guess the reason I'm bringing that up is because to just wrap up the game talk, for me, that was a perfect way to kind of end it off. Greg and I, big up Greg, if you're listening, my homie. We wanted to, the Rapids players and everybody was filtering in, going into the locker room right there by where we were kind of all situated. And so, yeah, I kind of waited for him, was happy to talk to him. He was very adamant. He said, we played like a big club today. He said, did you not see that club out there today? That's a big club. And we played like the bigger club. And I'm all for it, my homies. Long may this last, bro. You have no idea how much I just love having a guy like Matt Wells taking the helm here for my hometown club, just because of what the connection means for me being a huge Tottenham fan, but just because I know, being a Tottenham fan, how much Matt Wells is going to put into this club. And he's literally done his fair share of, transforming not just the squad, but, just the inner workings of the Colorado Rapids. Even at the Dick, they've put his motivational quotes up and stuff like that, or his messaging and stuff like that. And it's just so dope how everybody is buying. Well, I say everybody. It feels like everybody and everything is buying into it, and it's because we're seeing a good product on the field. So I'm extremely happy about that. Crash, we have a game coming up midweek. We don't have to wait until next weekend. We do play. Is it LAFC that we're playing?
LAFC on Wednesday.
Yeah,
8:30 Mountain.
And Crash, am I jumping the gun, or are we going to be hanging out with any of the homies that decide to watch along with us?
Yeah. So we'll, obviously we usually record and do our podcast recording for the week on Wednesday nights. We happen to have a game that happens on Wednesday nights, and it happens at 8:30, which is around the time we record this podcast. So Leo and I were talking yesterday, and thought, you know what, let's, why don't we just, instead of doing our normal pod, let's do a watch along, invite anyone who wants to join. We know if, all you sickos out there are going to be watching the game anyway. So figured, jump on with us and chat. We can, just watch the game together, react, have a conversation. And then what we'll do post game is we'll just do our recap, and that'll kind of be our pod for the week, that we'll clip and throw out there for anybody who can't join us, but can be a part of the conversation later. The watch along will be on YouTube if you really are a sicko and want to go back and watch it with us. But we would love for anybody to engage. We'll throw it on YouTube, and we'll get it on X as well. And if anybody wants to jump in and enjoy us, again, this is a community that's not just Leo and I. We want everybody to join. I promise not to hit the end stream this time around, so we don't have to redo that. And I'll get a mulligan. I'll make sure I don't screw it up this time around. But yeah, I figured, let's get together. Let's sit down, have a drink, watch the game. Let's chat about it and just see how it goes. And but we want the community to join us. I think this is about, we do this, to have the conversation, to engage with the community. And I think, I'm really excited to see where we're going. And we really appreciate everybody who's engaging with us, which you make us better. This isn't for us. This is for everyone. And so we'd love to have people come on and tell us what they think of the game. What do you think of the match? What do you think of Wells? What do you think of the Miami game? It's just an open forum while we're watching this game and go from there.
Absolutely. It would definitely be an open forum. I like the way you said that. And also, while we're there, I want to extend an invitation to anybody who is a Rapids fan and is, comfortable with voicing their opinion. Look, if you're a fan, you hear the podcast, you see the Instagram post, reach out. You can definitely hop on here. You want to talk for 5 minutes? You want to go the whole hour with us? You want to just come on and rant, bat, chat, laughter, like it says in the intro song, grab your paddle and head to the confluence. You know what I mean? Like, that's what it's about. The confluence is a place where rivers meet, and in this case, it's Rapids fans. The Rapids fans meet at the confluence. So I invite you guys, share this with that Rapids fan that you know. Send this to your Rapids buddy. You know what I mean? Hey, you're always talking in my ear about the Rapids. Why don't you hop on with these two guys? They seem to love talking about the Rapids. We can have you on too, my homies. You don't need a camera. Just need to be able to communicate with us, listen and chat with us. You're more than welcome to come on here, my homie. Don't be ashamed. In fact, step out of your comfort zone. Hit us up on the Confluence on Instagram. Leave a comment on the YouTube channel. We'll get back to you. Honestly, massive appreciation to all of the homies that have been sharing our Instagram stuff, reposting, liking, commenting, giving us the 5-star ratings and all of that. So it would just be a fun time to get 2-3 people on here for a good 5-10 minutes at a time. Get your guys' breakdown of the match. I always love to get Crash's point of view, as he's a coach. You know what I mean? And I'm just a Rapids fan. I've been a Rapids fan now, going on my 3rd season. So I'm just discovering as much as some of these newer fans are, and we get Crash's perspective. Honestly, Crash, I'm looking forward to growing the community. Instagram is getting up there, my homie. You know what I mean? So yeah, big yourself up if you're tuning in right now.
Well, and it's a good point. For anybody who's nervous or scared or like, oh, what am I going to say? What does it matter? How did I get here? Leo said, hey, you want to jump on with me? I said, yeah, sure, why not? And that last season, I jumped on one of his streams, and next thing I know, he's like, hey, you want to come back on? I was like, yeah, sure, right? And next thing you know, we're building this podcast. And, and I think that's the thing that people need to realize is, like, we're just a couple of guys. If you've met me, if you've seen me, I always welcome you guys to come up and say hi. And, say hi to me, say, hey, like the podcast, just whatever it is. I mean, if you see my face, always come and say hi. But outside of that, also remember that anybody can do this. We're not special. We're just a couple of fans that love this and decided to give it a go and make it work. And we really enjoy it. And that's why we wanted to extend the community invite for everybody, because this is not just for us, it's for everybody. So come on, say hi. As long as you're polite and cordial, with, what we're saying and those kinds of things. We just have to be cognizant of that. But you can voice your frustrations. You can voice your excitement. You can do, like, this is a good forum for that. And so I just welcome anybody to come on. Anybody who's a supporter, anybody who's a new supporter, there were 76,000 people in that stadium. If you're new, you're trying to find a foot into the door. What is this? It might be a good opportunity to just come and ask questions. I would love that. I would love for a new fan to come on. It's like, hey, what is this about? What are the tailgates? Where do I go? Where do I sit? What are the games like at Dick? I've never gone. I just went to this game, right? Are you a new Rapids fan? Come talk to us. Come check us out. Engage. Our stuff is there. Go watch the match day vlogs from Mile High Hotspur channel on YouTube and get understanding what they are. Like, we want to be your conduit to the Rapids and help you it's dip your toe into the supporter community, because at the end of the day, that's what we are at heart. And this is just an ability for us to extend that to everyone else.
Yeah. God, what a great shout. And Crash and I kind of back a couple, what was it, maybe like 6 pods ago, I said, if you meet up with Crash and take a selfie, I got a surprise for you. Nobody did that. So now we got a bit more people that listen. We got more people tuned in. The first person to take a selfie with either myself or with Crash, you're walking away with this signed Darren Yapi card, my homies. A signed Darren Yapi card. The first person to see either myself or Crash at Dick's Sporting Goods Park, whenever it is we go back, you're walking away with the Darren Yapi signed card, my homies. Crash, I think that's a perfect way to end this episode, my homie.
Love it.
Teasing an autographed Darren Yapi who's in form right now.
Question: can I take a picture of myself?
Take a picture with him.
Yeah.
Yes, Crash, there you go. There you go. So, Crash, we did tease the watch along, my homies. We will post something about that. Probably tomorrow. I'll probably get something out posted about that just to kind of get it out there. Is it worth kind of going into that game looking ahead, or should we just wait to the pre watch along and kind of chat it up?
Yeah, just for the listeners who might not join us, I think I won't go into it massive, but I think it's a big test. LAFC is a big team. They just lost against San Jose pretty heavily at home, so they are beatable. And I think they have a lot of fixture congestion with the CONCACAF Champions Cup. There's a lot of things and a lot of factors into them right now that that I think that they're a beatable team, but they're also a team that's dangerous.
Absolutely.
And this is going to be a big test for us. How do we show up? How do we play? How can we take this mentality in this form and get a really positive win on the road? Again, this is where we become the team that's part of the conversation. That's top of the table, top of the West. We have to be able to win these games and compete in these games. I don't know if we're going to be able to pull it out. A draw would be huge. A win would be even better. But we can't go in there and lose 4-1. We can't go in there and lose 3-1, right? We need to go in there and make this a game. We need to make this a challenge. We need to make sure that we're showing a statement that we're going to be hard to beat, and if anything, we're going to be hard to, easy to lose to. And I think at the end of the day, that's really what we have to do. And if I have full faith that the guys can do it, do we show up and do we get off the bus? I mean, that's going to be a big. The BMO Stadium in LA has not been kind to us in the past, so it's going to be a big test for us for sure. I'm excited.
Well, if any good about the situation is San Jose, who is flying pretty high this season as well too, went to the BMO and put it on them this past weekend, my homie. So are they doable at home? 100%. But look, for me, homie, I'm just of the mindset of we've got a good thing going. We've got a good foundation going. We need to remember those things when we do take the field there at BMO, and we have to continue to try and dictate our game. That's the bottom line, Crash. We play our game, be physical, right? We've seen what the physicality can do against us with Omaha Union. If we could be physical, you know what I mean? Trust me, I've seen Sonny be bullied around a lot of times and he gets uncomfortable. So as long as we can bully them up in a proper way, we have a fighting chance. And especially the way we've been playing, I give ourselves even a better fighting chance, Crash.
And you look at it, we're one of the top attacking teams in the league. They're one of the best defensive teams in the league right now. It's going to be a big test for both. How can they handle that situation, right? So again, end of the day, it's who shows up to play and who's ready to go and who's at the top of their game. If we make some of those mental mistakes, then I don't think it'll be our day. But if we can be locked in for 95 plus minutes, it could be a good shot. So I'm excited.
Yeah, man. Crash, was there anything else, my homie, that maybe we missed that you want to? Do you have something you want to plug or something you want to say or anything?
No,
That maybe we
nothing to
didn't.
plug. This is all I got as I got this space. The only thing I will say, and for anybody who is interested or has a youth soccer, has kiddos or anything like that. So I know I've talked about it in the past. I guess this is the only thing I can plug. We're getting into kind of tryout season for youth soccer. Anybody's looking for a new club, anybody's interested. So next season will be the Colorado Storm. And that's actually really exciting. There's a lot of new things, a lot of new coaches. Our coaching slate for all the elite divisions has been posted. Our North coaching slate's going to come out soon, I think, here in the next couple days. We have some amazing coaches in our club. The way that the club deals with our coaching education, I have another monthly coaching development with all the coaches in the North this Friday. The community there is very, very strong. So if you're interested, you're looking for a new club, you're looking for somebody, feel free to message me. I'm pretty easy to find online. You can message me there. You can also go to the website for Storm or Colorado Rapids Youth Soccer. That website's still active, and find some of the directors there. And just reach out. Everything's going to happen in May with all the new with the tryouts and things like that's coming up, and I know people are looking. So if you're interested, come check it out. Come hang out with me. Come ask. You can, if you need to guest play or practice and train, you just want to see what it's like, we can always arrange those kinds of things. So for me, I'm just shouting out my club that I coach for, and we would love to have you, boys, girls, anything all around. There's some nice, pretty exciting stuff happening with Storm for next season, and we'll love for you to be a part of it.
Nice one, homie. Well, now that we're doing that, I'm going to shout out the homie Chingon pins for the Rapidos kits. I don't know why I didn't wear this one to Empowered Field. I only thought about it when I seen the other homies in the green, and I said, "Man, the homie gave me a jersey, Chingon pins, big yourself up, homie." And I should have wore it. But apart from that, I wanted to send a shout out to my homie Colton, who's a listener of the pod. Big yourself up, Colton. And I guess we'll see you guys at the watch along, you filthy animals. And don't forget to spay or neuter your cats. All right, my homies, we had a fun one. Honestly, it was a great episode. Like it and subscribe, and up the pids, you filthy animals.
Yeah. My heart, C38, Lil Coys and KTK. Locals on the fly, causing turbulence. Causing waves on our way to the confluence. New voice for the fans, from the pitch to the stands. My heart, locals in the South Bank lads. Leo Coys and the whole me crush. Hold up, what's this? A raft on the water to the confluence. Yeah, it's trance. I'm blind to rhymes and laughter. Head to the waters if it's piss you're after. C38, the time is now. Locals on the drums to hold it down. Like the stream and 2 5 stars. The mile high hot spur and crash the car. Shit.